Welcome to Cool Explorations. I'm your host, Tony Peters. Today we're going to be speaking to musician Pete Miller about his music, his testimony, who some of his heroes of music are, and what his music writing process has been like, as well as how God has worked through his music and how he can see God at work throughout his entire life and this entire process. Welcome to Cool Explorations. I'm your host, Tony Peters. Today we will be having Pete Miller on, and he is a singer-songwriter, and he's going to talk a little about his album. And why don't you start by introducing yourself and telling us about who you are?
My name's Pete, and I live in Pennsylvania. Yeah, I just decided to, you know, get do some music. I always played music. Well, not always, but always listened to it. But I was interest. It was just something I wanted to do with putting some kind of music out there and see if it stuck. So
Yeah,
I,
and it's great to see you actually getting your music out there because I know as an aspiring songwriter myself that can be kind of a challenge.
yeah, it is. I don't really do a lot, to be honest, in terms of doing that because I have the Michael guy who does that. So I'm just focused right now on just creating new things and then giving it to him, and then he does all the work.
Yeah, Michael's a hard worker.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little about your journey with faith, with God? How has He been at work in your life, and where did that background come from?
Well, I guess with something like that, it's been up and down, like so many of the people from the Old Testament and the New Testament.
Yeah,
You have God, and then things go bad. You don't know whether to trust or not, and you try to trust, and then things might get even worse, and then you feel, faithlessness come into you, and then you go through a period of stagnation, and then you might see the light again, and then do it, and then trust it, and then it feels good, and then you try to hold on to it as long as possible.
yeah, and that is the story for so many people. Everybody has their ups and downs in life, and moments when faith wanes, and it's those moments I think that we end up growing from and learning the most from is those exact periods, which is why they're so important in our walk with God because it just keeps it real. Uh, how would you describe the style of music that you play? Because it doesn't really fit into any particular genre. So how would you describe yours?
I would just describe it as maybe like folk rock kind of. I don't have any band members, so I like to add that sort of element of just kind of fast paced, I guess. Except on the recordings, I didn't use any pick because guitar pick because the bleeding of the guitar. I don't I sing with the guitar. I can't do it without it. So the more I was doing, so that was kind of disappointing that I didn't do that with the pick, so you could really kind of hear that kind of Elvis or Johnny Cash,
Mm,
type element. And I didn't, I just kind of went into some kind of random recording place and just kind of did the songs. So it's pretty quick. But I'd say yeah, like folk rock. I
yeah.
don't know rock. I don't know. Everything comes from the same source. I mean, some of the whole oldest songs were the hymnals.
Yeah.
It's just praising God and all that. So it all comes from the same source. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I would just say folk, probably
Yeah.
folk country or something.
So in terms of direction for you, how do you envision your music progressing as you go through your career?
Again, I don't know if it's really a career, you know. I just kind of signed up for it, and I'm just kind of seeing where it takes me right now. If it goes to another level of some sort, then I'll progress with that. But it hasn't reached really a new level yet for me to put more time and energy into it yet. You know, if
Yeah.
it does, then I'll like anything, you know, if it comes fruition, then I'll take it upon myself to keep going with it. So right now, the only thing I can really do is, you know, just kind of, like I said, kind of do new things and just kind of work on the art aspect of it.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it's something that you enjoy, so it's kind of a hobby right now. And it's great
Yeah,
to have.
exactly.
Yeah, it's great to have that kind of stuff in your life for sure. Who would you say your heroes of music would be? Like people that
Oh
you really
man.
look up to?
To be honest, I don't. I mean, I don't really. I don't know if I'd look up to anyone, but I just always like you know, listening to stuff I haven't heard before. You know, I mean, you know, you know, today it could be some rock band, tomorrow could be Beethoven, you know, or Vivaldi, or you know, classical. Then it could be, you know, Crosby, Stills and Nash, or Creedence Clearwater, or Elvis. Yeah, I don't know. I don't, you know, those guys. I guess I just, you know, there's stuff from that era. You know, anything from the late or early 1700s to the 19, I don't know, 89.
Well, it sounds like you're very eclectic. Kind of like what I like to listen to. I listen to a little bit of everything, so it's
A lot of people stole you know, music from the classical music, you know. It wasn't until years later after their song was a hit that they would say, "Oh yeah, I took that progression from you know, the Vivaldi's Four Season or something."
yeah, and Beethoven. Yeah, people use their music
Oh
a
my
lot for sure.
gosh.
Yeah, yeah,
I just found out that Bob Dylan took his the blowing in the wind and don't think twice it's all right. Those two songs from other songs, very old songs.
yeah. It's quite common to see that happening in music for sure. It's
Yeah. I really don't like it when they don't say it either. You know, it's one thing to take it and not say it, but it's another that it's just so obvious, and you don't say it. You don't
yeah.
say, "Oh, I took that tune from there." That's disappointing to me whenever I have a kind of a music hero that doesn't say those things, because if you're not saying that, then you're being dishonest.
Yeah.
Obvious.
Yeah, yeah. So where would you say your passion for music comes from? How did that all come about?
You know, just listening to it. You know, just yeah, listening that era. My mom has a good, really good sense of music, and she would always play Pink Floyd albums, and Jackson Brown, and Jethro Tull, you know, all those kind of greats from there. So it really rose from there, and then I just sort of starting to just started you know, branching out, and just trying to listen to, you know, things from that era, and then, you know, beyond that era. Yeah, I really don't listen to any current things.
So for you, what's your writing process and your song acquisition process? What does that look like for you? I know you said Michael's kind of involved in that too for you, but what would you say that's like for you?
You mean writing a song?
Writing or acquiring a song, like somebody wrote it for you, that kind of thing. Do you ever do that kind of
That
thing?
that'd be nice if someone did that for me. No, I think I don't know. I don't really have a. I just it usually comes out in a poem, or and then I add music, or I add music first and then it comes out of the poem. I guess. Yeah, there's two ways. It either starts with music or some kind of, poem that I have stuck in my head, or some music. I really don't like it when the music's stuck in my head though, because then I can't sleep.
Yeah, I get that way when I'm
The,
writing.
the words thing are easy because you just jot it down and then you could save it for tomorrow. But the music then just it just keeps you awake. And then you have to wake up, you have to take out your guitar, and you just have to do it.
Yeah, yeah, and I get that way when I'm writing. It just it does, it gets stuck in your head and you just got to get it down.
Yeah, I know. I actually find that writing in the morning is much easier because then you have the whole day to drown it out. If you start writing at night, then you don't know how it'll take you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I like to write something and then I come back to it a little bit later so I can kind of tweak and play with it. Tell me about your album, Live on Record. How did that come about, and what's that album been like for you?
It has tons of imperfections in it. It was just kind of, I just again walked into a studio and just kind of said, well, I called him before, see if he was open, and just kind of went in there and just did it. Had some music, had my sheet music there, and so there's a lot of imperfections and stuff and things that I would have liked to do differently, but I'm trying to do a volume two of one in maybe a month or something.
Yeah, and you're brand new out there, so it's your first album. So like there's definitely things you're going to learn from that. What would you say
Yeah.
would be some things that you've learned
Uh,
from that process?
well, for one thing, ginger tea in the morning. That's for sure because when you're singing for a long period of time, you just can't. It comes to a point where you just can't get anything out. And
Yeah.
I think actually Ozzy Osbourne, I think he doesn't do it. He said he never, in an interview, he said he never did any lessons or warm ups. He just drank ginger tea. I'm sure he had other stuff, uh, I don't know. Learn, I guess. I don't know. Just be more prepared, I guess. As just but you still get there, and you think you are prepared, and then you get there, and then I don't know. You just there's things you want to change, but it's all right. I got the rhythm parts of the songs would all stay the same. So you just kind of get a feeling of it.
For you, you've also had some success on some of the music charts. What did you want to tell us what some of those successes?
Yeah, well, I will say that it is interesting that it's all happening in Europe. I don't.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that kind of works these days. But I did. I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary "Searching for Sugar Man"
I haven't.
about the folk singer Cisco Rodriguez, who you should watch it. Anyone should, but his music. He was a Chicago folk singer, and his music. He didn't know that his music had become a huge thing in South Africa and I believe Australia.
Yeah, it's interesting with some of the ones that when I look at Michael, the artist that he sends me, it's interesting to see where their music hits because
Yeah,
it's definitely cool. Throughout your entire process, in terms of growth, how have you seen God at work throughout your life and throughout your music?
I would say music is godly in a sense. I mean, you can put all kinds of science into it, and it's one of the closest things you can get to feeling. up in the clouds, walking on the ladder up there. It makes you feel divine, and not God, but makes you feel like a servant.
Yeah, it makes you feel
Sure.
close to God.
Yeah. So then you just have to kind of sing, sing about the things that you think he'd like to hear.
Yeah, and I think that it's important because music was one of the very, very early creations. Shortly after man, there came music. You see musical instruments already with Adam's children. So it's definitely something that is something that you can use to praise and worship God and like you say, feel close to God. So I definitely think that that's
And I,
important.
yeah, and I think that's why I like that kind of music too, because there's always a character arc in those that kind of music from like the 50s um to the I don't know, to that old kind of folk music. There's
Yeah,
always some kind of character arc of someone who's trying to find something more. I think that's what interests me about that kind of music.
yeah, for sure. And I love that about music, that when I listen to music, a lot of times that is when I feel really, really close to God because um it does, it flows through you and you get that great feeling. Uh
Yeah.
yeah, so I love that. What advice would you have for aspiring singer-songwriters out there who are just looking to get started?
Well, I really don't know. I'm still looking for advice.
It's a growing process. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask
So
me, ask me that when I'm on a stage or whatnot in front of a lot of people. If it ever, if
yeah.
something like that ever happens, then you can ask me that. But I'm still looking for the answers. Not that that's important, just that I don't really know about how to be successful in terms of what someone might define success today in terms of a venture like music.
Yeah. Well, and it is very true and very humble for you to say that because a lot of new singers that is the way that it goes at first. You take advice from a lot of other people, so it's
Oh
great.
yeah, I'm in the advice taking stage, not giving or
Uh,
receiving, not taking advice, receiving.
yeah. Well, and that's very, very humble and honest to say that because yeah, definitely it's something that's important to recognize that,
Well, yeah, if you don't, you're gonna fall. You're gonna eventually fall on your face if you think you know what you're doing.
yeah. Well, it's been great talking to you, Pete. Good luck with your music. Thanks for coming on and sharing with us today. And yeah, all the best.
Hey, I appreciate it, Tony. It was good to meet you. Hope to do it again.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for listening to Cool Explorations. You've just heard Pete Miller talk about his music, his latest album, as well as how God has been at work throughout his entire music process and his entire life, and how it has really impacted him. If you would like to reach me for any reason, you can do so at tpeters745 at gmail.com.